evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, 4 Men and a Mic edition. And of course, again, as you can see, there's only three of us because last week James wasn't here because he'd forgotten that he had a dinner booked, and this week he's forgotten that he's working. So he's not here again. But hopefully next week he'll be here.
Is he going to be stripped of the captaincy, and do we need to put out a statement?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know.
I heard a little rumour that he's taken his mum to Barcelona for the weekend.
Hello to you all in the chat. Thanks very much for coming along. Much appreciated. Great to see you all. After a really, really exciting transfer window for Arsenal fans. A strange transfer window. With the players that were going out, you might have thought that we were going to bring someone in. Now, I get the fact, I'll come to Chris first. Chris, I get the fact that a lot of Arsenal fans are frustrated, and I get that. I really do understand that because I'm one of them. But then I can also take the step back and say we've actually got rid of a lot of players that we needed to get rid of, and a lot of players that we've all been waiting to get rid of, you know, for a couple of years. But of course, then the fallout from yesterday, some people, has been embarrassing, to say the least. Yeah. Some of the stuff I've seen on social media, some of the stuff I've seen said after Arteta, said after Edu, and things like that. It's a 50-50, isn't it? You can be frustrated that we haven't signed anyone, but then you look at it and kind of think, well, I did want all them players out. I did want that deadwood to go. But yet people are still moaning.
Yeah, it was hard, actually. It's been hard this last 32 days. I'll be honest with you. Aren't we all bloody glad that it's February? Because we had a shocking time on the pitch. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, it's been a bit frustrating off the pitch. Just as a slight aside, big shout out, Dan, and actually you, Craig, for being on it yesterday. I listened. I went for a nice long run yesterday, and I decided to whack myself onto YouTube and listen to Danny trying to get through 8 hours of that. So I salute you. So
where did you run to? Did you run to Paris or Lisbon?
I did an hour and a half. I didn't do 8 hours. I did an hour and a half. But I listened into it, and it was really interesting because to see the wide variety of views. And I tuned in, Dan, just at the point in which you had people shouting and getting angry, and there was Amanda, and then there was Mel, I think, as well. And then you had Scott come on. And that was interesting because it was a flip-flop of views. And I think it feels like that amongst the fan base, doesn't it? That people are either split. There are either people raging on the internet because they're just going mad at the fact we haven't done any business. And then there are other people that are just almost completely the other way, which is like, well, this is good that we've got rid of the deadwood. I have to be honest and admit, I am a complete flip-flopper of a fan. And if you catch me at different times of the day, I'm at different ends of that particular spectrum. And what do I feel like at the moment? I feel frustrated because I think there was an opportunity. I feel like it has not been a successful period to start off 2022 for us. And the thing that really has hit me today is the Aubameyang stuff more than anything else. And with it, just as we're obviously just recording, that Arsenal have just officially announced that they've terminated his contract, which means that he'll be able to sign for Barcelona on a free transfer. I feel like we are in a weaker position than we were on the 31st of December, and we should not be in a weaker position because we've known about the Aubameyang situation since the beginning of December. We've known that we needed to do something about it. And if Aubameyang was a football player for us and he was playing every week, or he was at least in the squad every week, I would probably be sitting here saying, no dramas, guys. You know, we've got the players. But the fact of the matter is, we have lost him. We have not replaced him. And when I was writing my blog this morning, I had a little look at his goal contributions this season. Not a lot, I think we can admit. But Aubameyang has contributed to, if you want to put it into a points perspective, 4 points. the goal against Norwich, winning 1-0 win, so that's 3 points. And he scored in the Crystal Palace game where we drew 2-2, 4 points. If you take those 4 points off, we are sitting in 8th on 32 points. And I think people would be having a bit more of a meltdown. And I probably would as well.
Well, he's only scored, I don't know if I'll correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's only scored 4 goals this season, hasn't he? So,
and 3 in the league.
I think, let me play a little bit of devil's advocate to that, Danny, and say for the people like for Chris, who is frustrated about Aubameyang leaving, and I think what it is about the Aubameyang thing more with our Arsenal fans is that he hasn't been replaced. I'm not too sure that people are quite worried about Aubameyang leaving. Now, I thank him for everything he's done for the club, of course, and I have that respect for him. He played for Arsenal, but I'm actually quite surprised at myself of how much I'm really not bothered that Aubameyang's left. So playing devil's advocate with it, Dan. He's left. We should have brought him back. This and that. We mustn't forget that we are where we are without him anyway.
Very true. Looking at transfer market as always. Did you know Premier League minutes alone, we have 17 out of the top 18 players we've used this season are still at the club. Not a problem then, is it? And if you look in all competitions, we've got 18 out of the top 19 players who've played minutes this season. It's going. We all know it's going to happen. Drew Thompson, who we all know and love, said he told us this the moment Aubameyang signed. He predicted this. He's like some kind of soothsayer around a hobbly bobbly pot of owl's ears and dog's nipples or whatever it is they do when they would sit doing their test in the future. He knew this. He knew this was going to happen, and it happened. And wherever it goes, it will happen at Barcelona because Barcelona fall out with their players even quicker than most clubs do, and it'll happen again there. He'll have 18 really good months there, and then maybe he'll go to play in France. But he looks like someone who loves to have the high life. He'll be off the MLS or some other league where they get paid him an absolute fortune, and they say, you do whatever you want. Like most star players, when you have one star player at a club, they rule and a law unto themselves, and they do whatever they want. But like someone just put in the chat there, saved wages. People are losing their mind because they're going, he's gone on a free. Well, no, we're not paying. We're at the club in our predicted finances for the next 2 years. We're saving £25 million. Mm-hmm. That's got to be a good thing. Go on, Chris.
Can I just check that? Sorry, can I just check on that one? So, have we? So, has anyone heard whether or not this is a terminating by mutual consent? In other words, you were owed £300,000 a week from now until June, when the contract, when that half year of your contract is completed, and so that's times that whatever that is, like £7 million. Has Aubameyang specifically said, okay, I'll just give up all of that, terminating by mutual consent, I won't take a penny? Or have we had to do another deal, which means, all right, well, we would pay you £7 million to the end of the season, but we'll give you 4 or we'll give you 3? Is anything coming out from the socials or the press? Do we know?
No, I haven't heard anything. I mean,
The Athletic had a little bit, Craig, where they were saying our Josh was listening to it, and they had someone on there saying that it was between £15,000 a week and £60,000 a week wages up until the summer, and then he can, because that's all Barcelona are allowed to pay. Like the bloke from Wolves has gone there, and I think they said he's on a similar amount of money. And then in the summer, up until the summer, we're subsidising his wages. And once the summer comes, Barcelona are then allowed to pay him the full amount of wages. And so we're paid X amount until the summer. But what that X amount is, Craig, don't know.
So we've paid someone to go away.
I heard he's getting paid £100,000 a week.
It's something low. Well, I say low.
Yeah. Low, yeah. £100,000 a week.
Poor boy. We do a GoFundMe for him.
£100,000. That's all I've read. Whether it's true or not, he's left on a free. He's no longer an Arsenal player. He now belongs to Barcelona. And Chris makes a very good valid point there. Who knows what the agreement was? Knowing Aubameyang, there's probably there's got to be money involved and lots of it, I would imagine. For him to, kind of take off in the manner that he did. I saw something on Twitter today that suggested that this is all Mikel Arteta's fault. The players leaving. That it just goes to show that Aubameyang will run to Barcelona and take a massive pay cut just to get away from Mikel Arteta. How much of that do you think is true, Chris?
That is complete and utter balderdash. What I will acknowledge, though, is that I do think it's slightly worrying that he seems to torch relationships with players a little bit more frequently than the average manager, because we've now got Guendouzi, we've got Aubameyang, we've got Ozil, we've got ultimately Willian as well, because he binned him off.
And Saliba.
Well, yeah, Saliba's a funny one. We don't know whether or not he's torched that relationship or not. We'll know that in the summer. But that's my big worry about Arteta. Is he a little bit too non-negotiables? And do we need to have a little bit of a balance, a delicate balance that's being struck here? Because these are all highly paid. Sometimes they're prima donnas, and they need a little bit of love and cuddles instead of it's carrot or stick type thing.
Don't we all?
Very rarely, yeah, don't we all, Dan? Don't we all? So to me, that's my concern. But I tweeted this out earlier. I'm a bit confused seeing people absolutely digging out Arteta here, because I don't believe that Arteta started in January, at the beginning of January, or even in December, saying, right, well, we got to bin Aubameyang off, and I reckon that I only need 11 players. Like, what has he gone to Denver to Stan and said,
absolutely.
Shall we have a little bit of a wager? I bet I can get through the rest of the season with 11 players. Of course, he hasn't done that. Arteta wouldn't do that. He's not an idiot. I mean, people might think he's an idiot. He's certainly not an idiot. He will have wanted players. He would have wanted players in. But, and this was the crux of my tweet, I'm now looking at Edu, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure he's done such a fantastic job. And people have not rounded on me, but I'm having nice debates with friendly gooners on Twitter saying, well, actually, Edu's done a good job.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But sensible people like Michael from You Are My Arsenal.
Michael.
So,
going by his Instagram, he had the barbecue out and everything, though, didn't he? Big things were going to happen. He was eating cheese.
Paul has put this one in. Paul Healy says the club statement says terminated by mutual consent. So I would imagine that mutual consent is I'll leave, but you still got to pay me X amount. I'll understand. I won't take 350 grand. I might take 100 grand off you until the end of my contract.
Makes me wonder. Like Watford are still paying about 30 ex-managers. How many ex-players are we still paying?
Yeah. Isn't that depressing?
This is an interesting one. He's waived his wages to Arsenal. He's waived his wages. Arsenal waived the fee. That's why they didn't loan him. Arsenal didn't want to pay for any of it. So going by that, then we're not paying him, and he's gone.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't believe that I'm very cynical about, as I get older, I get more and more cynical about footballers, and I don't believe that Aubameyang wouldn't want his payday. And as much as he might love to play for Barcelona, and he's got a house in Barcelona, and it's always been his dream to play for Barcelona, I wonder if it's always been my dream, but I still need to get paid. And so I suspect there's an element of that. But just going back to the Edu stuff, that's my big worry. People saying he's done a really, really good job. And I'm looking at it thinking, well, let's look at the sales. And we seem to be just spending a lot of time either not getting big fees for players or telling them to go away and paying them off. And then if you look at the other side of it, which is the acquisition side, which he's been lauded for, I was thinking about this today. Ben White, we wanted Ben White. Brighton said 50 million. We spent, if you remember, we spent months haggling on it and eventually just paid them the 50 million. Sheffield United, we just paid them what they wanted. We had to go the year before, we wanted Thomas Partey and Atletico just went no. So we had to go to La Liga HQ and ultimately paid them what we wanted. So has Edu, it's a question. I don't want to be one of these people that gets pitchforks out, but has he actually done as fantastic job as some are suggesting is my question.
I'm going to bring Danny on this one because, Danny, we spoke about it yesterday on a Bergkamp Wonderland. I said to you that if Edu or any of the Arsenal scouts couldn't find us a midfielder or a striker in world football, then they need the sack. Simple. I mean, Tom Canton brought up a brilliant point again yesterday. That the fella who just joined Burnley for £15 million, 6'5".
Yeah,
Wolfsburg.
Yeah, could have done us a job, surely.
Yeah, gives us an alternate plan of play, and that £15 million, as someone said later on in the pod, that could be the difference between making Champions League and not making Champions League. And us Arsenal fans, we're not being unrealistic. You look what Frank Lampard has done. He's gone into Everton and he has swooped up decent players right away. That's what we expect to be done. Now, I don't know what Edu is playing at, because anybody who's worked in sales, you get a sales commission. Edu is on no sales commission at all, and he's been at the club for 3 years? He's made bugger all money in sales commission. That's probably why he's having a barbecue every night. He's been down Tesco's and he's getting all the eat now or die stuff that's on offer, because he can't afford to feed himself, because he's making bugger all commission. But it's not too much to expect as Arsenal fans to go, we're bigger than Everton, we're bigger than Newcastle. Worldwide, we're the third biggest team in England. There's no argument with that. And Liverpool and Man United are the only ones that are bigger worldwide. And players, and plus we live in London. I mean, personally, I'd never want to go and live in Liverpool, and I wouldn't really want to live in Manchester, but I quite like Newcastle. And so you got the added bonus of not only playing for one of the biggest teams in England and the world, but living in London. And if you're a millionaire, living in London is going to be a magnificent time. And so you've got all these attractive bits. You've got all the young players at the club. There's going to be people out there that are going to want to come and play for Arsenal. They just didn't go and find them. And it can't be. There's even like Jack Wilshere. We have played a bloke going through puberty in midfield twice this season, when Jack Wilshere could have come in and done that. And he played for sixpence, or I don't know how much that is. And he's there, and Arteta still isn't using him. Why have him there? It's like having someone there who you're just dragging along, going, oh, maybe next week. You go out there, put the cones out, you go and train with that lot, maybe next week. Is it a power trip of something? Or because Jack should go. Jack, don't waste another 6 months of your life mucking around with Arsenal when you could be playing elsewhere, because it's obviously Arteta is never going to let you play, no matter how desperate we are for players, which makes me angry, because Jack's better than that. And I do think, I mean, in the history of my time watching Arsenal, I've never known a manager to fall out with so many players. I mean, George Graham, notoriously, when in the club went, Charlie Nicholas, go on, get lost. He got rid of Viv Anderson. Obviously, no problem with Viv Anderson because the bloke's a gent. And then Kenny Sampson and all these other pros at the club, he got rid of loads of them. But you cross George Graham, you're out. But he's a manager who's won loads of stuff and respected in the game. But Arteta, in a very short period, has fallen out of half the squad. And God, no, you're dead to me. And it's costing the club money.
This one comes in from Carrie. So keeping on with the Aubameyang, I have started some questions in. I have kept some questions aside, lads. So keep putting them in. I am looking at them. There's a nice little new feature on here now that I can mark them, and I can get a list of them. So keep your questions coming in. Just because I don't ask them straight away doesn't mean I'm not going to get around to asking them. Karen, good evening, Karen. Thanks for your input here. He says, a guy on Lee and Dan's show last night, which is Lee Judge's TV. If you haven't subscribed, get over there now and tell the judge we sent you. Made a great point saying, when Aubameyang was late for the North London derby and Mikel Arteta threw him under a bus, Aubameyang took umbrage to, which is why he didn't play well. Now, although I kind of might take some points out of that, Chris, I don't believe Arteta threw him under a bus. In the sense that Mikel Arteta is the manager of Arsenal and his captain has turned up late for a North London derby. I don't see how Arteta has thrown him under a bus. That's just not acceptable from an Arsenal captain, whether you're Aubameyang or whether you're Theo Walcott, who gets the captain's armband when it's his birthday. But there is a good point there that perhaps Aubameyang has taken that to heart and has said, you know what, up yours kind of thing. Yeah,
I mean, every football club has disciplinary procedures, don't they? They have codes of conduct that all of the players agree by. And we all used to talk about, the Per Mertesacker and the fines. Oh, you're taking pictures of us, Dan? Hello.
No, Sean wants my mum's address. So I'm just copying the Amazon account because I don't know what it is.
Anyway, yeah, every team has codes of conduct, and everyone has certain rules that you all agree by at the beginning of the season. Don't be a dick. Don't turn up late to training. We're all in this together. That sort of stuff. If you've got somebody that starts to effectively bend those rules, even to the point of then breaking them, it undermines the whole collective. And so I kind of agree with Arteta. If you've got somebody that's undermining the collective, then you need to act. If this is happening repeatedly, then we have even more of a problem. But again, I don't want to be one of these people that's a bit ITK. And I spoke to you guys afterwards. There isn't, from what I know, and I'm not somebody that is in the know, but what I have heard is this isn't just about the North London derby or about turning up, late from a trip to go and see his mum. This is repeated offences that have been happening, and it's not just turning up late. There's other stuff as well, and from what I hear, it's relatively common knowledge around the training ground. Now, again, all of this is, I've heard this for a third party type thing, so you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But if that sort of stuff is happening regularly, then Arteta's probably just thought, I can't do this anymore. There's only so much I can do, and so he's got to get rid of him. But again, we go back to the original point. If that's happening in November last year, act on it. Get your plan in place. All right, we're going to go for Vlahovic in January. Fine. What's plan B? What's plan C? Because if we end up with Eddie Nketiah and Alexander Lacazette as our two centre forwards for the rest of the season, we are in a whole world of trouble because they're both running out of their contract. When we get a month or two before the end of the season, they're going to be holding off from, doing that extra sprint because they're not going to want to pull a hammy, or they're not going to have a serious injury that means that they can't get their big money move. So we should have addressed this. We should have been addressing this. We should have had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G all lined up in January.
Danny, what would you say about this point on Aubameyang? And we'll move on from Aubameyang in a minute. But this is a good point. This one comes in from over and over again. Hello, mate. How are you? He says you do it in private. You don't do it in public, and you don't put your dirty laundry out for everyone to see. I kind of agree with that. But at the same time, as a fan, you want to know why he's been left out. It's all very well to say, oh, well, Mikel Arteta could have just told us that he's not playing him because he was injured. But we all know that he wasn't injured because he was playing and scoring goals the week before. So it's a tough one for Arteta. Do you think he handled it the wrong way, the right way? Do you think that it had anything to do with Aubameyang's drop in form?
Good question there from Rich. Also a good podcast he was on yesterday. He had the same problem with Ozil. We all know that Ozil was constantly always had a back problem when it would come to playing anywhere outside the M25. And like Chris was saying, we all know now that there's been many more occasions where Aubameyang hasn't towed the line. As captain, he should be the number one line tower, and he wasn't. And Arteta was gentleman enough to only every now and then go, well, this one is because he was a photo of his car on the Seven Sisters Road, or wherever it was when game, or up somewhere around there. And there was a photo of him stuck in traffic. And then that one they talked about. And there was another one where he was because of his mum. I think ones that have been publicised, then Arteta's confirmed. But the ones that weren't publicised, Arteta hasn't talking about. Rather than, no one in their life has ever been thrown under a bus. I've heard people have been thrown under a train, but never under a bus. But how he dealt with it, I think, is quite old school of Arteta. And if anything, Arteta should get a nod of approval from people for going, yeah, you've done that right. You could have made yourself look better by throwing people like Aubameyang under the train. And he didn't. And the same with Ozil. Didn't do it there either. So, yeah, I quite agree with that way.
Again, it comes back to what we want as fans. Like, we're screaming out for a manager to come in and be a disciplinarian, get the players playing again, to lay down the markers, to lay down the law. And then when we do get one who is laying down the law, and he's quite clearly saying it's my way or the highway, we find something. We find a way to bring it back to being Mikel Arteta's fault somehow.
You look back in the day under George Graham, when no one was going, where's Kenny Sampson gone, club captain? Why aren't Charlie Nicholas playing? We went, oh, he's not playing. Oh, That's it.
Yeah.
And now we're going, everyone's out with their Sherlock Holmes things going, I'm going to find out with their magnifying, I'm going to find the clues of what's going on. We're too involved. The club should say, shut up, the lot of you.
Yeah.
None of your business.
Well, look, he's gone now. And, you know, all we're left with is front flip memories. You know, and that goal against Chelsea. I mean, he scored many important goals for us, and I was absolutely delighted when we signed him. You know, like I was when we signed Mesut Ozil. I mean, I couldn't believe it when we signed Mesut Ozil, and I also couldn't believe it when I saw Aubameyang walk through the door. And you know, to have this kind, you know, to have those kind of players play for our club is, you know, it's great to see him in the badge and great to see him in the shirt. But you know, I mean, I'll just before we leave the Aubameyang topic, this is a tweet from the 15th of January, 2018, from Borussia Dortmund sporting director Michael Zorc. And he said, at some point, you cannot tolerate the lack of discipline from Aubameyang anymore. I don't know what's going on inside his head. That is what he tweeted when Aubameyang joined.
Wow.
Well, no, it wasn't when he joined, but that's what he said about the player. Now, I can remember a few Borussia Dortmund fans DMing me to say that you'll regret him. Yes, he's a good player, but he causes too much trouble. And you know, when he's the first year he's at Arsenal, I'm like, what are these people going on about? Like, he's been great, do you know? But look, they've been proven right, haven't they?
Look what he's done for Gabon at the AFCON. Buggered off to Dubai when we didn't want him. Got COVID, missed the whole of AFCON. Their best player in a generation.
Got COVID.
Yeah.
You know, it's just such a shame. It is such a shame. I'm sorry that it ended this way for him. I really am. I didn't want it to end like that for him, but it has, and we move on. Should we talk about Matt Turner, 27-year-old goalkeeper, signed for Arsenal from New England Revolution?
Yeah,
USA's number one, I believe, and subsequently saved 2 penalties in the MLS All-Stars game. I like the sound of that. Saving 2 penalties. I like the sound of that. Chris, Matt Turner, 27 years old, goalkeeper. Still quite young for a goalkeeper, really. 27. Obviously, goalkeepers last a bit longer than central midfielders and defenders and attackers these days. What I'm looking at there is, first of all, I'm kind of like, a goalkeeper from America? And second of all, that means the door for Leno, doesn't it?
Yeah, surely it does. And do you know what? It's a really interesting one. Like, is like goalkeeper years a bit like dog years in that, like, 27 is actually like 22 15. In normal. 15. Oh, right, 15. He's 15 years old. We just signed a 15-year-old outfield player because he's a goalkeeper, though. We'll have him until he's 40. So it's like dog years. Fine. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better, actually. Just a young and up-and-coming player. It makes sense. And he feels like a backup, doesn't he? Like, Leno never has felt like a backup. This guy's coming in as a clear number 2 to Ramsdale. I mean, that's fairly obvious, I would have thought. And Arsenal must be banking on the fact that hopefully that we'll have European football. Because if you've got European football, you can say to this guy, look, you've got 6 games in the group stages, you'll have League Cups, you'll have FA Cups, you'll probably get about 15, you'll probably get a minimum of 15 starts in the season, and you go and play for Arsenal, and we'll pay you good money, and it's good on your CV. So it probably works well for him. It probably works quite well for us, but providing that we can find somebody to give us enough cash for burnt Leno. But can I'll sort of segue us out of that just for a second, then you can jump back into Matt Turner. But is anyone else a little bit worried about all of the players that we're going to lose in the summer, on top of the fact we've only got 17 players and all the work that's going to need to be doing incoming? Because if Leno's going, which we're assuming that he is, you've got Cedric. Surely we want to exit him. You've got El Neni, who's running out of contract. You've got Pepe, who goes down to the last year of his contract in the summer. So we've got to make a decision on that. And I suspect the club would rather get money than have another player on the free. You've got Lacazette and Nketiah. So Are we now that Obo's gone? I think we're down to, is it 17 players? We've got 17 players.
Yeah, I think
That
17
makes
or 8.
six.
Yeah.
6 with question marks that could be out the door. Maybe Arteta has gone to Denver to speak to Stan and have a little wager with him. I reckon I can go through the entire season with 11 players.
I hope not.
Just like the old days.
It's coming up in the comments, and Dan has told me as well that my mic's gone a bit crackly. I hope it's not too bad now. You can all hear me still?
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Oh, good. Sorry if you're listening on audio, but I don't want that to... perhaps it was a bit too loud. Or perhaps I'm just being too loud, probably. That's probably the case, me being too loud. What about Uston Trusty, the process? 23 years old, a defender. I'll have a bet with you. I'll have a bet with everyone that he doesn't make a first-team appearance for Arsenal. It's such a strange one. Coming from Colorado Rapids as well, a team that Stan Kroenke owns. Another strange one, Dan. Another strange one.
It reminds me a little bit of back in the day when I did a podcast, and I did it with someone else, and someone else insisted that their other half become a part of the podcast. Absolutely awful podcaster. And insisted they're coming. Reminds me a little bit like this. Oh, by the way, Arteta, you're having one of my boys. He's coming in. You're going to play him. He's going to do well. He's going to be the new Tony Adams. You're thinking, what? And I've never heard of him. Why do you want me to play him? At least with Turner, Americans have a decent history of having good goalkeepers, like we said on the show yesterday with Casey Keller, Brad Fiedel, and that one who I forgot, Craig, that you reminded me, and I've forgotten again. Tim Howard, thank you very much. So you've got a history of decent goalkeepers. He's the number one for America. They played the other day, and I think that they beat. I watched one game where they won, and then the next game I think they lost 2-0 to the mighty Canada. So it can't be that brilliant. But you can't go not letting Arteta buy any decent players and then sending him over players from Colorado Rapids. So I mean they've not even had a good. Did they have a good season? I think maybe Colorado won the Western Division. This is from memory because I'm a Portland fan. And they won the Western Division. They had the second best record in MLS last season because what they got, you got the East and the West Division, and they combine them into one division just for reference, and they come second in that. And then my team, Portland Timbers, beat them 1-0 in the quarterfinals of the MLS Cup, which is at the end of the season thing. And I don't remember him playing. I don't know anything about him. I mean, if you think if he's 6'4" and played for one of the best teams last season, you would have heard of him, or I would have heard him, or some people would have heard of him, but I know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
23 as well.
I think we were talking just off air that it's reminding me and Chris a bit of the Cohen Bramble deal.
Yeah.
You know, Chris.
Yeah, so I'll give a shout out to Cookie, who is not with us at the moment. Oh, that sounds a bit dodgy. Cookie is just not available at the moment, just to let everyone know. It's not that he's departed the earth or anything, but he actually said it on Twitter. He said it's got a whiff of the Cohen Bramble, and it feels like it. Here's a player that let's get him on board. He's 23 years old. The thing is as well is you're going to sign this player, and then the plan is to loan him out for the whole of next season. So that means that by the time we get to the end of the 2022-23 season, he'll be 24 years old, I think. I'm not sure when his birthday is, but he'll be 24 years old. August the 12th. All right, so he will be 24 years old by the time we get him potentially into the first team squad. 24 years old, given our age profile of the players that we've just signed, he's not exactly like a young up and coming player that could be one for the future. Like if he was 17 or 18 years old, you'd probably say, oh, maybe they've found someone here. Maybe they'll send him out on loan. He'll work his way up and then gets to 19, 20, and he can slowly bed himself into the first team. But this just has a whiff of Stan saying, can we increase the value of one of our players, please, by sending him to our marquee club?
Exactly. And I absolutely have to agree with you 110% there. 110%. It's just a strange transfer. And especially like to announce that transfer at 6:15 in the evening on transfer deadline day when we're all going mental that we haven't signed
That was one hell of an audacious stunt, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely. Now, I am going to throw a firework into the mix here.
Go on then.
As what people know, by the way, is my audio any better now?
Yeah,
No.
it's crackling.
Have you tried unplugging the mic?
I have. Let me try again before we carry
We'll
on.
talk amongst ourselves, Danny, shall we?
Yeah, intermission.
Intermission. Can I just say one of my bugbears, Dan? Tell me if this is one of yours.
Go on.
People on the internet that respond to me and say, "Well, who else are you going to get?" It's like, well, firstly,
There are
I've
no
got a
other
job.
players.
Yeah, it's like you say, "Oh, we didn't have Nketiah. Oh, who else are you going to get?" Or if somebody wants Arteta, I don't want Arteta gone, but if you want him gone, well, who else are you going to get? That is the most redundant sort of argument
Pointless.
I've ever heard, because it's like, well, number one, if I had Monday to Friday, 8:30 till 6:00 at night to just immerse myself in football and all the data, and I had scouting reports and all of that sort of information, I reckon I could put together a list of who else you could get
One
any.
or two.
So, but I don't, because I'm just a football fan, and I have a job to do, and I work Monday to Friday, 9 till 5:30. I don't have time, and so I'm not going to be able to provide you with a long list of who else are you going to get. Sorry, Dan, that's my soapbox. What do you reckon?
Even if you go, do you want to try it, Craig? Say something.
Can you hear me now?
It's still doing it.
Is it?
It'll be all right. We've only got 20 minutes to go. If you go to Transfer Market and type in free agents, I've put free Agnets. There are no free Agnets because I can't spell. It'll bring you up an entire list of decent players if I'd have spelt it right. And then you could go and get any of those and say, we need you for 6 months. Do you want to come and play for Arsenal? You wouldn't even finish the conversation, Craig, before they'd be going, yeah, I'll be there. I'm booking an EasyJet now. I'll be there in 3 hours. That's a stupid argument from those people, Chris.
Okay, I've unplugged my mic and I'm now on the internal microphone. Obviously,
that works.
Obviously, it sounds brutal, but is that better?
Yep.
I actually think it's this computer. I think it's the computer, to be honest. But anyway,
you sound okay.
Good. All right. But I'm loud and clear. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh no, it started doing it again. Doesn't matter. We've only got 20 minutes. People.
Yeah, we're fine. Persevere.
Right. Let me throw this firework in then before I crackle out. Obviously, people who have been watching this podcast know that I've stuck up for Mikel Arteta over the years, and I'll continue to do so. The firework is this: are we slap bang in the middle of the process, Chris?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like
in the
that
middle.
question.
Are
we slap back in the middle of the process? I would say we probably are. If you're breaking it down into what's he done so far, well, he's brought in his own people in terms of the coaching staff infrastructure. He's brought in his own backline and started to build from that. And I think if you'd have asked us all in the summer what needs to happen next, most of us would have said we need to get the sharp end of the pitch working, and that means the replacements for Lacazette, the replacements for Nketiah, the replacements for Aubameyang. And if you're basing it on that kind of trajectory, coaching staff, defence, probably a little bit of midfield needs to be done, and then the attack, well, we probably are halfway through, aren't we?
Yeah, but you make very good points there. Well, what I meant by it more was the process was for Mikel Arteta to come in, get rid of all the deadwood, and then once all that deadwood is gone, we go, we get halfway, which is now, all the deadwood is gone, and then for the next 6 months, we're on the other side. So we're halfway. He's come in, he's got rid of deadwood, he's brought in some of his own players, and now he finds himself at a juncture where everything is rosy in his garden. He's got the players he wants, he's got rid of the players that he doesn't want, and so from now on in, things going to start to happen now, Dan? Do you know, are we, is this bad January transfer window needed for a good summer window?
As his tenure, halfway through his tenure, I don't think so. I don't think he's got another 2 years and 1 month left in him. I think something's going to happen before that. As for the process, I'd say we're more than halfway into the process, because if you had a checklist, you go, get rid of the high earners, gone. Get rid of the players that aren't doing their job for the club, that's done. Bring in and sort out the defence and bring in players that can be, if they want, here for another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years for some of those players. The emergence of youth players, integrate those into the team. Loan out other players that we're going to want and let them get some experience. That's done. So I'd say we're more than halfway through the process, but the process for him, I still think that maybe they might get someone in, because when Arteta took over, if you'd have been a manager looking for a job, you'd looked at Arsenal and gone, hoo, no tar. Oh, you got Ozil, you got Aubameyang, they got no money, they blah, all the wages. Now, we're a very attractive prospect for a decent manager to come in. You go, yeah, look at that defence. Another point I was going to make was, look, the best two things we've seen this season, against Man City are attacking, all of those players are still here. Against Liverpool, the 0-0, all of those defensive players are still here. They're all still here. That's the best we've been all season. And some new manager might come in and look at all of that and go, yeah, that's pretty good. And if we're back in Europe, Europa League or Champions League, then I think they could look at it and go, yeah, we are well into the process, way past halfway, because it's actually looking pretty good if you don't want to put a negative spin on stuff.
Do you know what? Can I just jump in on that one, actually? Because, yeah, you're right. And also, if you think about it, if we get to the end of the season and we're 7th or 8th, I'm not sure that Mikel Arteta probably should. Whether he should he survive or not?
No.
I mean, if we're finishing 7th or 8th again, we've got to be looking at it and saying, you've had your players, you have had a time now, and maybe it is just time for somebody else.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, like, I have said that, and I've said that to a couple of people, that I think this talk of the transfer, an extended contract is all wrong. We should at least wait until the end of the season to see where we are, to see does he deserve one.
I think maybe he was over in Denver talking to Stan, and Stan was going to break the news to him. You're getting nothing. You're having not a single penny. And by the way, then he says to him, "Is this lovely tall 6'4" gentleman?" And Arteta starts to give his order, and he goes, "Oh no, it's not a waiter. That's your new centre back, son." Oh, is it? Thank you, Mr. Kroenke. Congratulations on getting to the Super Bowl.
Let's end it on this question, because I'm a bit worried about me being cracking. My wife giving out about it. So I mean, that's what's scaring me the most, really. 2 points off for 17 games to go. Chris, can we finish fourth? Can we finish in the top 4?
I don't want to caveat things like, okay, yeah, yes, and no. The yes side of it
there you go, then.
If the entire planets, if all of the planets align and we get no injuries whatsoever to key personnel between now and the end of the season, then of course we can. However, I think that probably statistically, the chances of that happening are practically none. I mean, we've already seen once this season, James McArthur larrup Bukayo Saka, and he was probably lucky not to come out with a serious injury. Saka gets kicked every week. Do you know one of my biggest worries, as soon as that door window slammed shut yesterday, was if you think about it now, and I'm sure you guys are the same, every time we watch an Arsenal match now, as soon as an Arsenal player, a first-team player, goes down and doesn't get straight back up, we're all going to be going, "Oh, please, don't die. Just get up on your feet."
I think I think someone's going to have to go up to Granit. I know you don't want to talk, Craig. Someone's going to have to go up to Granit Xhaka and go, "Mate, look, please, what do you want? Please do not get sent off. You're not playing 1990s football anymore. You're playing in the 21st century. It's 2022. You can't fart on that pitch without someone videoing it. You are getting away with absolutely nothing. And please, I'll let you go in the summer. You can book your holiday to Rome now, but just give us the rest of the season. Just act like an adult. Stop getting sent off. Stop doing your petulant, stupid stuff that you think back in the day you'd have got away with that you're not getting away with now. And then I think we've also got enough players to rotate. When I play Football Manager, I like to have players that play many positions. We've got left back covered. We've got right back covered. We've got Ben White can play in central midfield. All of our front four, I'm not going to list them because you know they are. They can play left wing, right wing, 10 and striker if we needed to. The only crucial positions we cannot replace anybody in is the 3 we got in central midfield, maybe 4 with El Neni, but you're not going to do much of El Neni apart from shut games down. So you need to say to Partey and Xhaka, please don't mess it up this season, and we can be playing Champions League next season. And you can stay if you want Xhaka and then secretly sell him. Because if you do that, if you can get those players to behave themselves, and also, like you were saying, Chris, VAR, at times it's like the Royal Rumble out there, and we're the only ones getting thrown over the top rope. It is shocking the amount of stuff that is not going our way. And stuff like the Liverpool and Crystal Palace, not just us, the amount of shocking VAR decisions that are going out there and going against us that could ruin our season. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Now, my computer is throwing a complete hissy. I don't even know what you or Chris said there for the last 5 minutes because you're just like appearing and disappearing. But I'm pretty sure everyone else heard you. So I'm really sorry about the quality of tonight's video if it's been bad. Well, my end anyway. I know Dan and Chris have come through all clear. So I'm going to finish it there. Thank you very much for everyone who came and joined us and stayed with us and chatted so well in the chat box. Much appreciated. Chris, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You can see Chris's blog every day. Follow him at Suburban Gooner Chris. You won't regret it. Dan, thank you very much, sir.
Absolute pleasure.
Isn't it? Always a pleasure, never a chore, as the judges would say. Until we see you again, which will be Friday night with Amanda. She's going to be interviewing her dad.
Yes.
Who is a long time Arsenal supporter. So I suggest everyone watches that, and you might get a bit of perspective about what the Arsenal used to be like. It's not just happening now. It's happened before, and it will happen again. So watch that show. It's going to be really interesting, and they'll give Amanda a bit of support. Till we see you again, take care of yourselves and each other. Up the Arsenal.